Denver Broncos.
Let's ride.
Let's ride right off the top. Hey, they have moments where they look somewhat good.
Moments.
How about we ride into this podcast?
Let's do it.
Hey, you know what? Episode 21. I'm here with Pastor Chris Phillips from Denver, Colorado.
Let's go.
Church planner, kingdom man, leader, athlete, friend.
Yeah, man.
And man, I always love learning from you, and grateful for your impact in our network and our church planning as a whole. You got a great mind and leadership heart. You have been pouring into Walk Church this weekend, into our students, and just grateful to get a moment to learn from you on the podcast.
Dude, I feel special just to be in this room right here with Heiden Radner.
Very
come on, man. And Walk, I'm so pumped to be with Walk and have learned from you from afar. So I have seen it. You've been doing it. I've been in the game for 4 years. You've been in it from 8. So, you know, I feel like I've learned a lot from you in our tribe and our network. It's a blessing to be here with you.
Kind of you to say those words. And that's what we're doing on this podcast. We're leaning in really quick. Husband to Libby.
Yeah.
Father of 4 kids.
Yeah, 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl.
3 boys.
Ages 14 to 7.
Couldn't go for the 4 boys.
No, you know, we had to go for the girl. So that was it, right?
Was she the last one?
She was. She's the last one. So 3 boys and then the girl. So she's the caboose of our engine, our caboose of our train,
That's
if
amazing.
you will. Yeah. And we were done after that. We were either going to have our 4th boy or our first girl.
Hey, listen, you know, as a dad of 4 little boys.
Yeah, right.
We're still praying for that girl. We'll see what the Lord has in store. I mean, this is the Level Up podcast.
Yeah, right. You're trying to level up to
We're trying to level up and get that girl.
Get your own team.
Hey, man, so good. Hey, one thing we ask anybody who jumps on the pod, and we're asking level up leaders, people that, you know, are inspiring and have people that are following their leadership. How are you leveling up in this season of your life?
Man, you know what, Heiden, it's been a busy season for us. And so what's funny is I feel like I'm leveling down, and by doing that, I'm leveling up, if that makes sense.
Talk about that. That's so good.
I have, so we went into a multi-church, you know, model, one church, multiple locations there in Denver. And in doing that, I knew that I was going to be busier. Like I knew that I was just going to have to be like, all right, it was going to be 2 years of running and running and running. And I'll be honest, man, like, you know, I come from a church background. I come from the sales world, medical sales into ministry. And so it's just go, go, go all the time. My last year in sales, I traveled 12 weeks out of the year. Wow. I was gone 12 weeks out of the year. And so I've always been a go, go, go guy. And I often tell people I'm better busy. But going into this season, I got a high schooler for the first time. I got a middle schooler. Then I got 2 elementary school age kids. My wife is a full-time teacher in Denver public schools and everything as well. And I knew by taking on more, I was going to have to rest in the Lord more, right? And it seemed weird for me because nobody taught me how to Sabbath. Nobody taught me how to rest, you know, do any of those things. And so I just knew, okay, going into this season, I needed to create and have a dashboard and have people hold me accountable to a dashboard of like actually doing less, if you will. So like, man, I have guarded my Sabbath and my rest in the Lord in the last 2 years. And I like 2 years ago, I would have said I was leveling down by that. Yeah. But what I've learned is it's helped me level up.
It's helped me level up.
Because I'm resting in the Lord more. I'm resting in my relationship with him.
Wow.
I'm realizing that he didn't need me to get done as much as I thought he needed me to get stuff done.
Jeez.
And then, I mean, I'll just be frank. Like for me, I had a guy look at me. He said, hey, we take the 10 commandments pretty seriously, right? And he's like, yeah. He said, one of those is Sabbathing. He said, what if you don't commit adultery as seriously as you took honoring the Sabbath? He said, how would your wife feel? And I thought, oh, snap. Like it hit me. Deep. Like I was like, yeah, like I'm not. And so why can I let that one slide and are so passionate about the other ones, right? Yeah. So man, I just did. Like that for me, like how I'm leveling up, it doesn't mean I'm sitting around doing nothing. Right. It just means that I don't plan out that day. I let the Lord, I give that day to the Lord, let him plan it. And in doing that, man, I just feel rejuvenated. Like after I'm done in my Sabbath time, like I just feel rejuvenated to do even more. I feel clear in my head, in my mind, and all that kind of stuff. And it's actually helped me make decisions that I had to make, right? It's helped me slow down in those areas. Great. To think more kind of logically and systematically in some of the stuff. So yeah, I mean, it sounds weird, but I kind of leveled down by, it leveled up by leveling down.
Leveled up by leveling down. That's so good.
Yeah. I don't know.
I've once heard someone say like addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're cutting a few things out to really level up in the things that are right in front of you that matter.
I'm putting my it's a zero-sum game, right? So everything I say yes to, I'm actually saying no to something else. Right. So if I say yes to do this thing, I'm saying no to family, friends, spending time in my community. Whatever I'm saying yes to, I'm saying no to something else. It's a zero. We live in a zero-sum world. So I can't say yes to everything, right? And so I had to look at it and go, what's my best yes? Like what do I need to say no to? The things that I can do and actually, you know, maybe really good and gifted at doing it. I think it's Andy Stanley at one point. He said, if someone can do something 80% as good as you can, you need to let them do it, you know? And because that other 20%, it's not going to make the biggest difference or impact. So for me, I had to put my best yes on the table, say no to the things I need to say no to, and yes to the things that only I could do. Like only God had called me to do those things. And what I found out was before that, I was saying yes to everything. And so I was therefore saying no to a bunch of stuff.
And if you're not careful, you could actually start saying yes to stuff that God didn't ask you to do.
Yeah. Like I like it and I thought it was cool. And it may be life-giving to me a little bit, but it's like, man, am I the one that, like, does God actually want me to do this, right? So,
yeah. That's a helpful word. In the context of Sabbath, I remember hearing this from a pastor named Chris Hodges in Birmingham. And he said, I'm not Sabbathing because I've had a long week and now I need to rest as much as I'm Sabbathing for the week ahead.
Yeah, right.
That was a mind shift for me, right? Dude. He's like, I need the Sabbath. Yes, I worked hard and a day off feels good. But more than that, if I'm gonna accomplish everything that's in front of me, I need that charge up. I need to plug in and rest.
Yeah.
Because God's going to use me greatly in the week ahead.
And I think, you know, my problem before was I looked at Sabbath as people just, like, what I knew of it was people laying around doing nothing, you know, and I'm like, well, that's not fun. Like that's going to be miserable, right? So when that shifted with me, it was like, oh, I can actually get stuff done. There was a guy who told me, he said, look, if you work with your hands, Sabbath with your mind, or if you work with your mind, Sabbath with your hands. Good. And so I started doing dumb stuff. Different. Like I work with my mind all the time because I'm making decisions, processing them, you know, and all this kind of stuff, like researching, writing messages. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to create a to-do list around the house or to go buy stuff at Costco or whatever it is. So like Fridays for me became my Sabbath, where I was getting stuff done. What I did was I asked Libby, I was like, hey, what you need me to do? What you need me to get done? And I felt so fulfilled with that.
That's awesome.
But then I would come back that day and then read or rest or work out or whatever. And then the other thing that I do, that's good. So like in that rhythm too, leveling down meant also putting stuff down on paper. Libby and we dialogue daily, date weekly, and depart often. And so I just hold to that. So I'm like,
pause,
all right.
Pause. Go for those three.
So again. we dialogue daily.
Dialogue daily.
Yeah. Means that, like, man, we are at any given moment, whether it's after school, whether it's like before school, whether it's after the kids go to bed, we're going to stop, pause, and talk to each other. Like have legitimate conversation. Really good. Dialoguing daily. We date weekly. And so for us, dating weekly, man, she's a school teacher. Sometimes a date is sitting in her classroom eating lunch during her break hour, right? But it's like,
make it happen.
A date doesn't have to be some night out on the town. It just means intentional time with us together, letting us know that we love one another, right? So now, a lot of times we date. Like we go out.
For the person watching this or listening to this, let me give you a definition for dating. Right. That was so clean. It's intentional time together, letting us know we love each other.
That's it. Like keep
it simple.
Come on, in the Instagram world that we live in, right? My date, but I'm never going to live up to everybody else's date anyways. We went on this trip or we went to this restaurant. You can do those, but it's like, you can actually go there and get in a fight. You can actually go there and go broke spending all that money on it. You can actually go there and not connect with one another.
Hey, how bad is it if you go there, spend all the money and still get in a fight?
Drop a couple bills, and then you're like, oh yeah, we got in a fight, or we didn't even connect.
We could have did this at home.
And so we do both and then the other thing we do is depart often. So we're very intentional about finding people to watch our kids, and that may be an overnight in the mountains in Colorado. It may be going back somewhere. It may be something with our tribe that we have. We just we do that once a quarter.
I've seen you guys do that well.
Yeah. So we try to do it.
It's not foreign to see you at an event with your wife with you.
Yeah.
Which is dope.
And she'll take off work. You know, it's like, all right, because she works full time, you know, or maybe in the summer. So we do that. And then, man, I got a workout rhythm. Like I try to work out 3 to 4 days a week. And it's nothing. It's like 20 minutes a day. Like I'm 42.
That ain't nothing, man. That's motivating. Look, that's convicting.
We got friends that are like CrossFitters, you know, and how do you know they CrossFit? Just wait a minute, they'll tell you, you know, and I'm not any of that. But I'm like, I try to break a sweat for 20 minutes. And I try to do that 3 or 4. And so that's my dashboard. Am I resting regularly? Am I dialoguing daily, dating weekly, and departing often? And am I regularly working out? Right. And now that's aside from my God time, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man. So I just was like, all right, I'm gonna go into that. So I think that's probably helped me in this season more than anything else. Right.
I love it.
Get to watch some Nuggets games and all that kind of stuff too. Right. World champion Nuggets.
Hey, the Denver Nuggets.
Let's go.
Are the world champions.
They are. And I mean, like, I don't want to say it, but like,
why did I start with the Broncos? I should have started with the Nuggets.
World champion, should be back-to-back MVP.
Whoa.
But front runner for this year's MVP, Nikola Jokic. But yeah, man, world champions right there in Denver.
And that's the right way to pronounce it, Jokic.
Jokic.
Okay,
get it right. Or the Joker, but it's Jokic.
Yeah, the Joker. I just go with the Joker. Jokic, literally dominating the league.
Yeah, just crushing it. Triple doubles left and right. Just past like Jason Kidd, LeBron James.
Dude. Jokic, casual triple doubles.
Yeah.
Like, this is easy, guys.
Yeah.
Let me just shoot this fadeaway because I'm back here and I can.
Right. And you know what I love? Like,
great passer too.
It's not his, like, you know, we live in worlds where everything can become our identity. It's not his identity.
Nah.
Being an MVP and a world champion isn't even his identity. Being a dad is. Being a husband. I'm like,
so
man.
He's about it, huh?
It's the real deal. Like, it's like, it's endearing to watch. You know, also like, golly, if you actually really cared, how good would you be?
Right. Jeez. Right. And an honorable mention for Jamal Murray.
Yeah. Oh, man. Dude, worthy. Come on. I mean, like, getting him back was good last year.
Talk about a level up, right? I mean, bro tore his ACL.
Yeah.
Was out for about a season and a half.
Yeah. And you
hard times.
It actually, like, Heiden, it goes back to it, right? He didn't come back too soon. He made sure it was the right time.
That's right.
He didn't just say, yes, let's go, because he could have messed it up. But he was like, I'm going to get in the mental space. I'm going to be in the physical space. I'm going to be in the emotional.
About some of that
he was. Yeah. And people were like, they wanted him back because they were struggling. And so it's like, but you know, it goes back to like, man, I need my best yes to be here. And he wasn't ready. Like, he wasn't ready mentally, physically, whatever it was.
I love that because I remember watching some of those finals games.
Bro,
he was next level better than everybody.
Oh, dude. And he and Jokic in the pick and roll. I mean, it's like Karl Malone, John Stockton days watching it, right?
Yeah. Hey, if you're watching this right now and you have no clue about basketball, get to know the Denver Nuggets. All right, come on, that's
real.
Sorry for the quick.
It's not just a cow town. Come on, let's go.
Them boys are nice, and they already showed you that they're right back to it.
Yeah.
So good. Hey, so can you just share a little bit about what happened recently? Because I think there's a lot of leadership ingredients that are in this journey.
Yeah.
So your church plant's called Journey Point.
Yeah. Right.
But along that journey, if I can use that word, you were contacted about an opportunity to have even more impact.
Yeah.
Tell us about that and just some of the leadership components that wove within Riverside and everything like that.
You know, so we planted in 2019, moved to Denver in 2017 from the South. God called us to plant, leave everything and go out there. We didn't really solo, parachute in, but we had a couple of families that were there, but we built all our families from the community. Essentially. And we go out there, COVID hits, man, Denver was on lockdown, during COVID. We were 18 months basically online or not anything for a while.
Tough.
And then during that time, right as we were coming out of it, I got contacted by a church that had been historically dying for 20 years. It's a 70-year-old church in downtown Denver, 2 blocks from Mile High Stadium, and big property and all that kind of stuff. And, it goes back, Heiden. We were talking a little bit about this before we started, but like, if you don't make the right hire, you have the right people for the right mission that God's calling you to, it could really be damaging and destructing, right? And so there was a church that went from thousands down to just less than a couple of hundred, right? Wow. In a huge auditorium that seats 2,500. And if you lose focus of the mission, that can happen real quick, right? So if I go for my mission, then I can lose it. If I do some stuff that God doesn't want me to do, right? Wow. If I say those yeses and do the things that God doesn't want me to do, and I lose focus on the mission, which is to seek and save which is lost, in a city where 95% of people are spiritually disconnected from Christ. So they reached out. They wanted a missionary mindset. And so basically, man, it's good. I don't know if it's like stupidity or ignorance, but we were planting essentially and then revitalizing at the same time. Not for the faint of heart. But honestly, it goes back to the same thing. You got to be a missionary in your city, reaching the people God's called you to reach. Really good. And I think some of the leadership changes for me, one, I've said this for a while, but like I really feel like God's called me to Denver greater than he's called me to anything else, right? So I think that love for city, that love for diving in, that call to a city has been greater than anything. And it's like expanded the influence, I guess, you know? And I honestly, like I told somebody, I think that the downtown Riverside thing came up because of the heart for the city that God's called us to. Yes. Like we've said, I think, like we say mile high till we die. Like that's what my family says. And we'll go and do whatever God wants us to. Of course. But like, I think he's called us to a lifetime of ministry. And man, look at the guys that we love and respect. One of the common denominators is longevity in a city. Totally. Like the churches that they have, it's longevity and it's 30, 40 years, right? It's not moving to the next thing, but it's diving deep into the community that God's called us to. Really good. And engaging the city. Our mentor, Vance Pittman, right? One of our mentors. I mean, like same thing. Engage that city, make disciples, start the church. That's where you start. And so yeah, man, we did that. And then honestly, some of the leadership decisions are hard because now I got to create the culture in the church plant. Now I'm having to shift culture in the revitalization at the same time. And it was like, oh man, it's been like it, not for the faint of heart, right? How do you shift culture? Man, I think for me, one, it's living it out. Like I've got to live it out. The culture that you want to see, you have to live it first. I've got to be the example and the setter. Like I've got to be the trailblazer for the culture that I want to see in there, right? I've always been a part of that. Like nobody's gonna follow Kobe if Kobe ain't putting the work in, right? Nice. And so put the work in, be there, do it healthy, right? You know, and then same thing. If I want a culture of resting, I better rest. Like if I want my team to rest, I better rest. And so trend setting there, and then putting the right people in the right position on the bus, right seat on the bus, you know, is a big thing. And not being afraid to have the hard conversations. I think that's something I've learned the last 2 years to go, hey, like we have a spiritual weight as leaders of churches. And if I was a CEO of a company in the secular marketplace, would I be okay with some of the same like passivity and decision making that some places in churches do? And we're serving something greater than a marketplace job. And I'm like, okay, I need to have hard conversations. We say get to the last 10%. Like what is that last 10% we didn't say in a conversation that we need to have that conversation, because that's where the truth is. Man, you could tell me the 90%. Like that's easier for a lot of people, but what is it that you're wanting to tell me that you're not telling me? Get to the last 10%. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. And so we even joke sometimes like, hey, let's get to the 1%. Like let's go deep. Right. Dang. And I think, but you have to create that culture and you got to do it lovingly and kind. We have like, I'm not the like most, I honor, but it's not an easy rhythm of me to just honor a bunch of people. So I discipline myself to have honoring moments, right? We say honor up, down, and all around. It's one of the only commands in scripture, like in competition, is to actually compete with honoring somebody. Better say it, bro. And great word. Right. And it's like, okay, Romans, it says to outdo one another and show honor. And so we have honor moments in our staff meeting. We teach it all the way, honor up with the people around you, honor around you, and then even down to leaders and everybody else. And so the other day in a staff meeting, we had an honor moment where we sat everybody down and everybody had to honor everybody. We went around the circle, right? Crazy. And it's like, hey, it's really good. Feels weird and it's kind of awkward at times, but man, people were like, that was one of the most impactful things we've done. And so I think that helps set the culture, because then what happens is when we go and make some slight decisions in a revitalization that are different than what they've been used to, man, my team's got my back. That's right. And so if they've got my back, then they're gonna dispel anything else everybody's saying, right? And so, yeah, that's been it. And honestly, trying to change that culture has been, it's leading a new group of elders, it's leading a new group of people and mission and where are we going and what are we doing? But it's constantly focusing on the mission. We're trying to get back to the Great Commission in what we're doing and then help that be the mission for everybody else in what they're doing. Man, love how you put that. A couple things that I heard right there. First off, you gotta live it. Yeah. If you wanna shift the culture that you're currently leading within, whether that's a church, a gym, a workplace, your own home, you got to model and live out the culture that you want to see.
The other thing I heard you say is don't be afraid of hard conversations. And I think sometimes people hear the phrase hard conversations, they think negative.
Yeah.
Hard conversations could be hard, doesn't mean they're bad.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't mean they have to be negative because of what you just said. You can actually be honoring and still do the 10%. Even could be the sandwich, right?
Yeah.
Let me honor.
Yeah.
Let me hit the 10%.
Yeah.
Let me honor.
100%.
And trust the Lord with the rest.
Yeah.
Man, I think that is that's so good in the 1% too.
Man, and you honor that. Like you show that. Like you are a great example of honoring. Like I love the culture that you guys have created here. I really mean that, right? It's even down to the a lot of, like, we live in Denver. There's not a Pastor Chris culture, but like you have that. Even your people, as we come in to invest in these students, and say, hey, Pastor Chris, man, I'm so excited to have you. It's like, man, like that honor, you can see it. And you've modeled that.
That's
and
good.
I see you do that in our tribe. I see you do that in our network.
Thanks,
and honestly, in a world of divisiveness and dissension, boy, isn't that a fresh aroma of Christ? Like that's something different. Like I want some of that. Now what's going on over here? Like,
totally.
So props to you for leading out in that way for a long time.
Thanks for honoring me with that. I receive it. And I think that you said it best. This is a biblical command. But isn't it better? I would rather be around an honoring person than a dishonoring person any day.
Yeah.
I'd rather be around an honoring person that maybe isn't even as skilled, but they have the heart, than somebody who's really skilled but just not honoring.
Yeah.
I think that's a good leadership ingredient.
Yeah.
I think those are what I love what you just shared is, this is culture shifting.
Yeah.
But it's also ways to level up.
Yeah.
Leveling up by, I think I want to just double click on this real quick.
Yeah, man.
Having the hard conversations.
Yeah.
Because even let's just say you're listening to this, watching this, and you wouldn't even consider yourself like a strong leader, or you're not like a boss, or you're not in the chair one or whatever.
Yeah.
But here's what I found. Everybody's kind of got hard conversations.
Yeah.
Just normal rhythms of life require that.
Yeah.
And I just want to say to somebody, don't be afraid of that.
Yeah.
In fact, lean into it.
Yeah.
That might be the thing that's going to help you bust up to the next level.
Yeah.
Avoiding the conversation could keep you at the same place until you have it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's all throughout your life too. Like that's in your marriage.
Yeah.
Like
you have a hard conversation in your marriage.
You need to have the hard conversation, right? The things are, man, like Libby said, yes, it's a covenant.
Right.
Till death do us part.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm afraid of talking about the hard things.
Man.
And I'm like, I don't need to be afraid of having the hard things. No. She's with me. She's for me.
That's right.
And the same thing in our workplace. Like people should be with us and for us, right? They're on my team. When you honor them, when they know you're on the team, you can then look back and go, hey, we're in this. So let's talk about the bottom 10%, like that we need to get to help you get to the next level.
Yeah.
Like, right? I mean, like,
That's
okay,
good.
It's working out.
Yep.
Like you never make gains unless you get to that last 10% of endurance that you're trying to build, right? Good. And so it's like, all right, if I'm going to make gain, if I'm going to level up in what I'm doing, going in the 10% is going to help us in a great way.
I got to have some tension to get that build.
Yeah.
That's good.
I can't have, I heard it said this way, I got to have some tension on that rubber band. Now I can't have so much tension that it snaps because then we're over. Yeah. But I got to have enough tension in order to let it build and go.
That's good.
So, yeah, man.
One thing that I've heard you share about is the concept of third space.
Yeah.
Like, and when you talk about leading and entrepreneurship and development, and something that you're just passionate about, stepping into that third space.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to ask you, talk to me about what that is.
Yeah. So first space is like home. Right, this is the first space I'm at.
Hey, this isn't like dating.
Yeah,
this isn't like this is how you pick up your girl type.
Yeah,
all right, my bad.
And I didn't say like, hold up.
I didn't say third base.
So first base is home. Second space is work. Where is the other area in my life that I am spending time at that I can consistently spend time at so that I can build relationships with people?
Oh.
So like, do I continue to go to the same coffee shop, right? I love different coffee shops, but like when I'm in Vegas, I'm going to Mothership,
That's good.
right? And I'm going to go there, right? It's really good. But can I consistently go there so that I know the barista's name?
Yeah.
So that then I can build a relationship with that barista?
Yeah.
Or do I want to go where I want to go, right? Do I want to go and be quiet in my Starbucks over here so I don't get bothered by anybody? So I tell people like, hey man, how are we gonna, Vegas, was at one point was the second loneliest city in the country, right? Denver was 3, DC was 1. And it's like, okay,
wow.
Do you have
That's
a
good.
third space where you can go to build relationships with people,
Wow.
where you see the people time and time again? For me as a pastor, right, I use that as an opportunity to build relationships with people, to point them to a relationship with Jesus.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, if I go to a different space all the time, like I can't do that. So
Right.
can I go to the same coffee shop, meet Kat, to ultimately invite Kat into our church family, you know, and more importantly, into a relationship with Jesus.
So good.
More importantly than a church family, even into a relationship with me.
Yeah.
But I can't unless I consistently go there. And man, what happens is we live in this world where we want to experience it. Man, you live in Vegas where
Right.
you want to experience everything. Let's go to this show tonight and this show over there, and let's go over here to
Yeah.
this casino. What if we created a fresh aroma of like, man, they consistently come in, and when they come in, they're so nice.
Yes.
They know my name. They
Yes.
call my name. You know, that makes me feel something different, that they knew my name, called my name out, said hi to me, asked how I was doing, right? Until you build that relationship of, you know, what's going on in their life. And then you go, hey,
Third
Kat.
space.
Yeah.
Woo.
And then you go, hey, Kat, like, I know you said you were struggling with this last time. I want you to know I prayed for you, that you would overcome what it was you were walking through. And then she's like, you remembered and then thought about me while you weren't here. And like, I don't believe what you believe, but then you asked the God that you believe in to change my life.
Wow.
And then ultimately, you know, walking into that. And so I think
That's good, man.
as followers of Christ, we don't even plan that. So what I tell people is like, man, find a third space that you can go to. And maybe it's 1 or 2. And it's a normal rhythm. Don't create something you don't know.
Right.
Be passionate. If you love coffee, choose a coffee shop you can consistently go to. If you love the gym, go to the gym. But where you hoop, I'm sure you got third spaces where you go and hoop. And it's like,
Be
okay.
like a barbershop.
Right. A barbershop, anywhere. Yeah, man. Ash is one of she's a barber I've been talking to for a long time. Like, she's on the verge of attending our church, right?
You're there. You're about to spend 30 minutes or so.
100%.
This is this is an invitation.
And you know what's funny?
Yeah.
Talk about leadership.
Come on.
My kids know my barbers and my baristas' names.
Yeah.
And they're like, Dad, you're consistently going there. Why are you going here? I'm going there for consistent reasons so that I can talk about the things of God with them.
Son, this is my third space.
Right. And so it's like, so I try to tell people, man, find a third space that you can go to and really invest in that and dive all in, like go all in with it for intentional purposes.
Yeah. We just celebrated a guy in our church. His name's Will. He just had a birthday and was dope. His wife surprised him in his backyard, and they created like an honor moment for people to come up to the mic and share and speak a word over him. But I thought was neat. I was learning from this moment because so many people said, hey, like Will like invited me from the gym. He's always like, we go to work out. It's kind of like little like fun moments. Like we're trying to work out. Will's over there talking to people. He's high-fiving people.
Yeah.
He's always inviting people.
Yeah.
But I think that was a good example of, you know, hey, and this dude's the buffest guy there, by the way. So like, you can't say he's not working out.
Yeah.
But while in the process of working out and doing his thing, working on his body, he's saying, I'm also going to use this as a space.
100%.
I got some invite cards in my pocket.
Yeah. Right.
You know, God's going to open a door, and I'm going to step into it.
Yeah.
And anyways, I feel like that's kind of what you're describing.
It's like, do that, have those regular rhythms where you can invite people. I saw Pastor Scott from Hope today at Mothership.
Sick.
They got a guy there. He's sitting there talking to him. I'm like, dude, he just preached,
Yeah.
you know, and he's tired and he's doing all this kind of stuff. But he's like, yeah, I got this guy. You know, I'm investing in him in my third space environment where I can invite him into my life too. So not only are you building relationships with people there, but then you can invite other people into your life.
Well, and he's doing that too in his CrossFit gym at his crib. Like, man, I love that. Like, God.
Be intentional, right? It's like, what if we were intentional in that area as we were in everything else in our lives, right? With our shoe collections and our, you know, Instagram scrolling and everything else. What if we were just as intentional to build relationships with people intentionally, especially in a city where people need it, man? Like, they need it. It's a lonely city.
Hey, I just want to, you know, just highlight that if you want to level up in your leadership, you're going to have to be intentional.
Yeah.
You know, and leadership is not just getting more knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not just being sharper.
Yeah.
It's, do you got people following you?
Yeah.
Do you got people getting better because of you?
Yeah.
Then you're leading.
Yeah.
Man.
100%.
Dude, I think that's really good.
If there's somebody on the other side of that screen, you know, that's looking at that, I'd say a couple of things about leading.
Come on.
Man, if you're out, like, you're listening to this podcast or watching it because you're a leader. Like, right, leaders learn, like leaders go and they learn. And so, man, I think I would say you have more leadership potential than you think.
Come on.
God's ready to use you in a mighty way. Like, he's ready for you to do big things. But you're going to have to be intentional with it. You're going to have to plan, schedule, make your yes be a yes, say no to the things that you don't need to say yes to, and say yes to the things you need to say yes to, that only God has equipped you to be able to do. But then to just rest in him and to be intentional in all of the things that you're doing so that there's a purpose. Like, when you go to that there's a purpose behind what you're doing and where you're going, right?
There's a purpose.
And there's a purpose. But like, I'm going to go to my there's a purpose behind the coffee shop that I go to. There's a purpose behind the barber that I go to. Not just, man, no great leader does things flippantly, right? I don't think Steve Jobs, I don't think Kobe wasn't just going to shoot free throws.
No.
He was going to put time in so that with game 7 on the line, when he's there, he can do it, right? So whenever you're doing, be intentional with what it is that you're doing, because God's got a purpose behind it.
Dude,
yeah,
what a good word.
Yeah.
Hey, I had this thought before we close.
Yeah.
I think it's just dope. You were involved with the cheerleading program at Tennessee in college.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And like in a really like dope way. Yeah. Did you get a scholarship for that?
4 years full ride.
Hey,
dude,
legit.
Met my wife through it. She didn't cheer, but I met my wife through it.
And Chris was pretty yoked over there. You know what I'm saying? To be able, did you have the one hand down?
I did.
You had the one hand down?
Look, I'm a $155 now. When I cheered, I weighed 198.
No,
40 pounds.
198.
40 pounds a month.
In my head, I thought you were about to say 176.
198 was as big as I got.
Dude, you were D's, bro.
I crossed it up.
What's one leadership lesson from that season?
Oh man, I
know you got to dig deep for that. I just thought about it.
You know, I mean, like, so I mean, it sounds weird. I ended up being a captain, you know, like 3 years that I was there.
That's awesome.
I think that like one, hard work pays off, right? So like it takes a lot of work. Any athletic venture you're in, like it pays off.
Yeah.
Like in whether it's cheerleading or basketball or football or baseball or polo or whatever it is.
Sure.
You got to put the work in to get where you are.
No shortcuts.
I think the other thing with all of that is like God uses every single bit of the season that you're in.
Right.
Because I look back to that and understand so much more about where I am now, right? So like, I mean, Tennessee had 100,000 fans, right? Man, I'm not shy to get in front of any crowd, right? So God was preparing me for something later that I didn't even know what he was doing, right?
That's good.
I'm like the MC type of guy. Like if this whole pastor thing doesn't work out for me, I think I could be an MC of a game show. Yeah. And I'm like, but like that comes from that. So God uses every moment of your life with intentionality and with purpose. Lean into it. And just lean into it. And ask, like, what are you doing now that I'm going to be, what am I getting out of this, right?
I love that. That's good, man.
I think the other thing too, I mean, like I made poor decisions in that time in my life. And so I think a win from that, like what I'm learning now from that time is that my past failures don't define my today and tomorrow. And so like God's used that time where I made some bad decisions in my life to go like, hey, that's not going to hold you back from what I have for you. I mean, we see that in scripture too. Yeah.
Grace.
So
powerful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Love that. Man, this has been a dope podcast. I learned a lot in this session. I got better. I hope that you got better as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, hey, consider hitting that subscribe button, or maybe you're on a different platform or Facebook. Maybe share this, whatever streaming option you're using. If you're listening on audio, maybe consider hitting a review or a comment. We'd love to hear how God is used. I just got a message this week from an individual involved with FCA. Just said, man, hey, you may not know this, but an episode you did a while back, man, is speaking to me, and I'm sending it out.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that, because we love to hear testimonies of how God's helping people level up in their leadership, not just staying the same. I found that when I level up, I feel better about it.
100%.
I feel like, man, progress.
Yeah.
Come on, I didn't go 0 to 100, but I did level up a notch.
Yeah.
And so hopefully you did that. I know you're going to do that on this episode. And one more time, Pastor Chris.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, man. Encourage. Yeah, man. Shout out to Mile High.
Thanks for having me on.
Denver, Colorado.
Go Nuggets. Go Broncos, baby.
Go Nuggets.
Go Avs. That's tough in this city, too. Go Avs.
What's the Avs?
Colorado Avs, man. That's hockey.
Come on. Well, we got the Las Vegas A's coming from. Sorry, Oakland. You know, we didn't mean it. Yeah, but we need to keep leveling up so we can get the baseball.
Big sports town now.
Shout out to the Avs.
Come on.
Respectfully.
Yeah, that's right.
All good. Much love. God bless. Peace.